Welcome. I'm Ellen Cahill, and I have a presentation for you on Zoom for interactive presentations, including video, screen sharing, and casts. It's part of our Ohio EdTech series, and I am going to go ahead and give you the link to the presentation in case you did not catch it on the website. If you go ahead and put this bit.ly address in your web browser, you will have access to all the slides I have made in the Google Slides, and you will have the live hyperlink resources available to you there. There's a couple videos that I'm going to show you that will give you a little bit more information on different features inside Zoom. And if you have any questions and you want to reach out to me or invite me even in a Zoom, there's my email address. So in this session, we're going to cover Zoom. It is an app. So it's an app that you would download. You can use it on phones, any mobile devices, laptops, tablets, as well as computers. And what they really recommend when you log in is to use it as a computer so that you have the nice screen surface in order to kind of see how this works. Whatever kind of files you might be sharing, because it is such a powerful screen sharing, it's nice to have just that surface area to be looking at. We'll look at how you can get others to join in, whether they're students or colleagues. And also when you set up a meeting, you are called the host. And you will have a certain different kinds of controls that you have access to. So we'll show you that. We'll take you to Zoom where you can go ahead and set up your Zoom settings and kind of go through this step by step so that you can kind of jump in and get started quickly. Oftentimes when we go, and this is something that we've been doing a lot with our daily staff meetings as we're using Zoom, we have it in our calendar invite. And so all I have to do is go to that calendar meeting and click on this link here, and you'll be able to move directly right into the meeting. Another way that's really easy, and I've been doing this now since I can't go to my yoga, and they have set up streaming on Zoom. So you add in a link. Now, because it is kind of paid content, there's also have set up the Zoom meeting where all the people joining in, all the participants, have to log in with a passcode. So if there's something sensitive, whether you're worried about some different kinds of student privacy issues and those kind of things, that might be something that you may want to consider setting that up, and I'll show you where you can do that in the controls. But typically how you'll invite this would be either with an in-mail or the calendar event. You also, when you do this, you also will have a link when you set it up, so you could put this in your Google Classroom and have students be able to see the presentation link from there. So when you go in to join in, the first thing that'll happen is it's going to want you to go and join Zoom. And so they'll go ahead through the dialog box, download the app right from here. And so when that happens and you download, then they're going to want you to go to open through Zoom US, and you go ahead and click on that, and you'll be right kind of in the session. They'll then want you to kind of set up the conference by computer, is how that is being recommended, just with the number of new accounts coming in and more schools and businesses using this as a tool. They really are recommending to use it by a computer. If you're joining by phone, you're not going to be able to use the screen. So it definitely is preferred there. And you could even go ahead and just click on this to say automatically with the Zoom audio by computer. When you go ahead and click on that, then participants do not have to have a Zoom account. But for you as a host, you're going to need to sign up with this. And it is free. You have up to 3 participants in 40 minutes. We've at WOSU been running our meetings, so I think they're kind of loosening that up a little bit. So sign up for free and just go ahead and sign up with the Google account here. And it'll take you through all the different things when we sign up for an application there. And then what will happen is you will be able to kind of go in, and once you have your account, you'll see that you'll have your profile settings. They will automatically default so that you could schedule a meeting. You click on that, and I'll show you what that looks like. Here is a little video clip that you can go ahead and access and learn more information about that. And then once I go through the slide deck, I'll show you what kinds of things are in that setting, because I think that'll be really pretty interesting for you to kind of get in there and dig into what you want your defaults to be. But when you go in and you click on the web portal, one way to get people to join in is set up a meeting. So this is kind of like just what we've been doing either with Outlook or a Google Calendar kind of thing. And once you have everything all set up, you can indicate whether you want the participants to join in with their video on and off, how you as a host want to do this, and set this all up. And you can even set this up in your calendar events as that. And then there's a few more advanced features in this. But for today, let's just get them scheduled in. Once you have the app, you can see that on your launch bar on this, you can see I'm a Mac, but there would also be the same thing with other platforms. You would click on the icon, and once you click on the icon, this is the little dialog box that comes up. You can schedule a new meeting on the fly and be able to invite participants directly from that. If you're going to join a meeting, all meetings have a 9 to 11 digit code, and you can just go ahead and copy and paste the join code in that. You can schedule a meeting, and then you also, when you're doing this, put this down, and this is kind of an easy way. There'll be other ways to kind of make sure, but if you're going to show any videos or have some computer sounds going on in the meeting, you would want to make sure that you can share the computer sound so that not all the sound is just coming from your microphone. Another way that's also very easy to do, and I'm starting to use this a lot more, is just go to the Chrome store, get to your Zoom scheduler, and you can download this extension so that it is in the browser bar, or in your right under your browser bar in those list of extensions. You click on that, this pops up, you can see my account, and I can go ahead and schedule a meeting, or I can start a meeting with my video on or off. That's the drag down there. So after those 3 ways of different, either whether it's through the web portal and you're scheduling a meeting, whether you go through the app itself and looking at, or whether you look at using the Chrome extension, one of the things you're going to want to take a look at is looking at your meeting controls and your setting. And how you do that will be through the Zoom US at the web portal. And I'll show you that. When you set this up, and especially if you're working with students, I would recommend you have a waiting room, that they cannot really kind of come in and join into the meeting where you would see everybody's faces in the gallery view. Have them go into a waiting room, and this is what they would see. And so they would be able to join with the audio, share their screen, invite others. They're going to see this, but that's going to be just basically kind of the waiting room. Once you go in, these are going to be what you're going to see as a host. These is the floating toolbar, and so you will often see it come in at the bottom of this. Once you start sharing your screen, it automatically is going to go up to the top. And when you kind of hover over this, it will expand. So if you don't see it, just kind of move your mouse or your cursor on the touchpad and it will expand for you. When you come in, the first thing is that often you have folks unmuted when they join in. And so one of the things that you're going to want people to do is to click here and at the bottom and just click on that microphone. That little caret over there will go ahead and unmute it. The other thing, and this will become the big icebreaker when you start doing this, is looking at your video. When you do the little caret, you can go ahead and click and choose your virtual background, and it will give you a couple different screens, and you'll have a GIF in behind. You can add different images if you want. It's really a fun way to kind of play around and open up a meeting, and once everybody discovers it, they're going to be using it. So I wanted to kind of add that to you. When you go in, you can see that I've got this where I can go ahead and invite people. So if you want to click on that and invite other people in your organization, you can go ahead with that. You can also invite them via email. In the manage participants and the host controls, you might have other people. So if you were working with some students and you wanted to do kind of an inclusion setting, where you have an EL teacher also in the Zoom session, or an intervention specialist would be in there, or it might be that you have a meeting and you're kind of stacked with different meetings and you want another participant to also work as the co-host, and the co-host can go ahead and start the meeting and do some screen sharing with others. This is the way that in Manage Participants, you just hover over somebody's name, go to the More button, and you can make them a co-host. You can also allow them to record. You can put other people in the waiting room. Also, too, let's say there might just be that one student that, you know what, isn't being appropriate and you wanted to remove them. Just go to your toolbar, Manage Participants, have this come up, and you can go ahead and remove them and kind of kick them out of the room. Hope you don't have to do that, but in case you did, you know there's always a plan B. Another thing that you can do is that in those controls is looking at how they're coming in, allow participants to rename themselves, because when your Zoom session is going to come up, there will be a strip of videos from each of the participants, and they will have their name, and so you may want them to allow them participants to rename themselves, get an avatar going. If you were doing something where you were doing like maybe even a literature book where people were doing a reader's theater or play acting or something, and you want them to rename themselves so that they're different characters, that might be a different way to kind of use that tool. For this, you can just see again, these are all the host features that you have in your strip. And when you have this polling, it's kind of nice. So one of the ways that this would work is that you could go ahead and before your meeting started, set up some different polls. And what will happen is if you wanted to launch a poll, it would have a different deck on what you would want to kind of create. And if it's a new one, this is what this would be. So they're all multiple choice. You can put this, you know, how's your temperature today? How are you feeling today? How did homework go, and have multiple choice, and you can go ahead and just launch the poll. Once that poll is going on in real time, you would be able to see the number of participants that have responded to that. And kind of a good rule of thumb is once you get to 75%, you kind of shut down that poll and kind of take a look at it and respond to some things that have been popping up on there. Sharing screen will be a very powerful feature for you. So in sharing screen, you will have just this little arrow that will be able to go what screens to share, but also to the caret. If you want to go ahead and set this up, there's some advanced sharing options. If you have more than one monitor in the advanced, you can also use that. When you click on the green share, you have a multiple of reasons. So I was working out with a colleague today how she could share via AirPlay using the iPhone and iPad. So there might be some different things that if your students have a tablet and you want to kind of show them what it looks like, that you can go ahead and have multiple devices, and you can kind of just go ahead and put a new share in there. But oftentimes it's just going to be hanging on to that desktop, clicking on that, and then remember to click the blue share button there and students and participants will be able to see your screen. They will also be able still to see your video on there too, so that's going to be going on there. This is another place that if you didn't do this initially, you can, when you share your screen, go share computer sound. Also too, if you're going to be running video clips, you would want to go ahead and click on optimize screen share for video clip so they get the best quality possible on that. So some powerful tools with there. Once you start sharing your screen, oh, that kind of was a lot of S's there, but once you start sharing your screen, you can also have annotation tools. And so you can draw out, spotlight certain things, have a mouse, select things. So you have a wide array of annotation tools. So just go ahead, hover on that, and you'll be able to play around with that. And once you have these things, you can pull them and move them around on your screen. The chat feature is going to be really a pretty cool thing. And so what happens is that when I go ahead and click on chat, right basically sidebar will open up. And so if I wanted to close it, I would just do the drop down and it would either have it pop up. And so all I see is the chat. And so I could be running through that, or I would be able to close it through this. But down here is where you're going to go ahead and kind of start and hover and start typing the message. Now, when you go to the More button, you can set it up that participants can chat with no one. If you lock them out, they can only chat with you. They can chat with everyone publicly, or also publicly and privately. So for instance, if I was working with a team and I was doing an IEP team meeting, or maybe you're having your BLT meet together, or you have different colleagues and you want them to kind of, there's a question that pops up and you want to get some information from somebody else, they might want to privately do a little sidebar, and then kind of before they kind of come into the video or into the meeting, they have some information from there. That might be some way that you might want to use that. So just look at that, and how you get to that would be through your More button. Also too, in the chat feature, rather than just working with screen share, if you want to have them go ahead and you want to upload files from your drive or from your computer or from OneDrive, whatever your system is using, you can go ahead and do that and drop that in, and it will automatically put the hyperlink into your chat bar. So that's a pretty powerful tool. In the More button, you can see that you can go ahead and click and invite, and it's just another way where you'll have other things. Setting up your breakout rooms, I think that would be another video session on its own, but just know that you as a host, once you have multiple participants in there, let's say you want to have group work. So if you had BLT and you had a couple different item agendas, you could go ahead and set up break rooms or breakout rooms for that. The other thing is that if you had students, it will automatically assign students to different breakout rooms. But if you wanted to go ahead and then customize it and assign some kids to go work with the intervention specialist or work with your TESOL person, that would be another way to kind of consider using that. When you want to go ahead and end meeting, this is another place where you can go ahead and do that. As those were all what I showed you were what you see when you've set up a meeting. So you are the host and those would be the set. When you are a participant, this is what you get. So I have set up in my meetings that people would be allowed to screen share, they're allowed to chat, they're also allowed to record, and then they also can do the little emojis with that. So those would be kind of a reduced set of controls that they can have there. What's really powerful with Zoom is that you could use Zoom while you're doing a Google presentation. So if you want to go ahead and do something where you've set something up with a Google Pear Deck, where you're getting interactivity, where you're building in questions there and using that app, there's just a ton of potential with that. I've added a link here that will show you how to do that, and also to how you would use the Zoom link and the Pear Pear Deck link, put those into your Google Classroom, and automatically students will be able to follow that content, and you've got a lot of rich active engagement going on. So I'm going to give you the code for here. So if you want to kind of jump out and say, Ellen, I'm good, I've kind of got this, there's the code. But what I want to do is I want to go ahead and I'm going to get out of this presentation and I'm going to show you how I go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and add another tab. And I want to go to Zoom US, and I'm going to take you through the web portal so you can see how you can adapt this. Again, if I wanted to join a meeting without signing up and I had the code, I can host it, but I'm going to go to my account. And so in here, you're going to go ahead and sign up. So go to the link there. You can see that I have gone in and I'm looking at my profile. Here, this is where you would want to go ahead and set up your picture. So if I want to go ahead and change my picture, or probably with you with a new account, you wouldn't have anything. So just have something on your computer that you can upload. You can kind of customize it, get it all ready for you. And my scarf is kind of a signature piece, so I go ahead and save that. So if you are entering into a video, a Zoom meeting without the video, this picture will be what shows up along with your name. If during the video, so let's say like during that yoga session, I don't want to show my video in the gallery view, what'll happen is I can stop my video and stop that. So I just click on stop video. What ends up showing in my panel will be this picture. So that's pretty cool. And then you'll get all this information on what this is here. In meetings, this is where you go in, and if I wanted to schedule the new meeting, this is where I'm going to go ahead and see all this, and I can set up whether or not my video is on or off, how the audio is going, if I want to mute my participants upon entry, if I want to enable the waiting room, if I want to record the meeting automatically. That would be a session, so if someone wasn't available to attend and you wanted to record it, it would come and record on your computer with the basic feature, and what you would do then is just move it into your Google Drive, and so you free up the space on your computer. So if there's something where you want that with students and you want to record that automatically, go ahead and hit save and you would have that ready there. The last thing I want to kind of show you on this is the settings. And this is where you're going to be able to see that you have settings for your meetings, settings for the recording, settings for your telephone. And you'll see that there are different ways in which you can put things with email notifications. But just walking through here, I want to kind of show you, start the meeting with the host video on or off, participants, audio type. This is where you would set up with a password if you need to do that. You can mute your participants upon entry in here. And with students, you may want to have them muted as they're coming in, if they're coming in kind of all at different times, and then they would have to unmute themselves. It helps with reducing all the background noise. This is where I'm allowing that chat feature. So if you kind of want to have a few where, or you get into something where you don't want that sidebar going on, this would be the way to have that, so that when participants are coming in, they wouldn't have that. This is where I'm also allowing private chats. Showing my meeting control bar, I have that set. Who can share? All participants. If you want to make it so it's only you, you can set that up in here in settings. This is where I have gone ahead and enabled my annotation, animating whiteboard. So if you have students kind of working on some whiteboard app, they'll be able to share that with you, which might be kind of fun. This is where I've enabled the big breakout rooms and allow the host to assign participants in that when you're scheduling it, so you can go ahead and put that up front. And I'm going to go ahead and save that. The other thing that I really wanted to show you is this virtual background. So when you go ahead and set up a virtual background, I'm going to go ahead and take that and show you that as my last thing. And I've got my waiting room, and you can kind of scroll down, and that would be there. So when I go ahead and I go back into my Zoom, I'm going to go back to my meeting, back to the meeting. All right. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. Going to go back to my meeting. You can see that I can stop my video, and when I stop my video, that's my profile picture. When I bring that back on and I do this caret, I am going to go, after I close this out, I'm going to go to the beach. And so you can see is that automatically you can set up and you can kind of add different images or videos to this by clicking on the little plus button, so you can customize it. But anyway, I hope you have found this to be informative, that it's given you enough information to get you going, and I wish you the very best. Stay healthy, and I look forward to you on other videos. And if you have any ideas that you would like additional resources without, we're going to have some office hours, but we're also putting up new videos all the time. So if there's something that you would like, please email me and we'll get on it, because we are here to help you. So best to everyone. Thank you.